Hey, thanks for reaching out. That's really awesome that you followed up via email and asked what's going on. That's really great. There's not a lot of students that do that. So here's a quick synopsis of the assignment, which should be something that says like pop versus scholarly or something like that. So when we look at evidence from anything, like somebody saying something or something coming from a dissertation or something coming from a website or information coming from like a father-in-law over the Thanksgiving table, we need to have the ability to apply criteria and standards to it so we can objectively measure the information. Because a lot of information can be just like funny or entertaining, and subjectively we might be like, oh, I really like that, or I'm really offended by that. But how do we have the ability to look at information just kind of objectively, where we look at that and we go, oh, that's offensive to this particular population, or this particular population, kind of like a doctor looking at like a medical condition. And so another way of saying that is kind of distancing ourselves from reacting to information by looking at it objectively. Okay, the two examples that I want you to look at are something from the popular side. And in class, we like avoided article and we went straight to just like the lowest hanging fruit. So a good example is memes. So on a meme, this is kind of like there's no author, there's no date, no one published this per se. It was just kind of thrown up maybe on social media. And so it doesn't have any of that objective criteria that we can use to determine whether this is valid or not. And it's clearly for fun. On the scholarly side of things, we've got, it always has authors, there are always scholars at some university. They have a very detailed way of looking at things. It's very serious, so it's never for entertainment or persuasion. It's always just so people can decide for themselves. Again, that doctor metaphor, it's like a doctor showing up in the examining room with a lab coat on and a very serious attitude. These are very serious. So it's kind of easy to kind of tell in that regard. The criteria are at the research guides in the library. And if you just search for life and go to this guide and go to what is scholarly, you'll see the hot dog roller. And you'll see these criteria that I was talking about. So if something comes across, say for example, I'm not vegan, but say I was like really offended by this. I was like, I can't believe that they think people eat trees. I would, instead of being offended by something, I would say, well, who's the author of this? Well, there's no author, so I kind of can dismiss that. What publication is this in? Well, somebody self-published it. So there's definitely no editor or peer review. And then, is it formal or serious? Well, no, it's kind of silly. So I can say safely, this is not evidence-based, this is not objective, this is just kind of some offhand thing. The value of it is really, really low, which is fine because, humor, it's meant to be consumed. It's like the fast food or the candy even. But on the scholarship, all of those things show up. Author, publication, it's actually named Appetite. We know who the authors are. It's peer-reviewed. In this scholarly article, they will go into how they gathered data. They'll have data that they refer to. They'll have data analysis. Everything is displayed out here so you can make up your own mind. How do we do the assignment is you go out and find something. I think for the assignment, you might be doing an annotated bibliographic entry. Feel free to go off and do something like that. You'll be finding two things. One is the equivalent of that silly meme, and you feel free to do a meme if you want to. It'll say, what's an APA citation for this meme? I do have a citation generator in this website, or this guide. There's something called zbib. And if you put in the URL, it'll, there wasn't enough metadata. So you're on your own, but for like an APA style for this, if there's no author and there's no date, this might be impossible to cite. All you could maybe do is cite the base URL, which is icanhavecheeseburger.com. So provide an APA. Do the best that you can do, but know that it's probably impossible. What's an example of the evidence? There is no evidence. What's an example of jargon? Well, there isn't really any. They say vegan. Google the author? Well, there is no author. So you get the idea. It's kind of missing a lot of the criteria. On this one, provide an APA citation. In a lot of these databases, there's citation generators. But here's a cool trick. You can take this thing, the DOI. Oh, I should have showed people this. No, go back. I want to copy the DOI. Well, if you can find that DOI, this is the link right here. If you go to ZBib with a DOI, it will give you a lovely APA citation. I forgot to show the class that. So you can put that there. What's an example of the evidence that they use? Well, oh, focus groups. It'll tell you in the abstract. The evidence that they use is focus groups. Focus groups is where you interview groups of people and they kind of chew on the idea altogether. What specific jargon or technical words? Ooh, stigmatization. Bing. So go easy on yourself. Google the author. What other things have they written about? Here's a cool thing you can do. You can just click on the author in a lot of these databases, and it'll tell you what they're looking at. Or you can just copy and paste and see other things that they've written. Let me know how it goes, but the main point of this is to start you digging around in the library's main catalog. So this is where you would type in keywords. I did vegan and teen before I found nothing. But if you look in a keyword, after you find your search results, you can go to articles, go to peer-reviewed journals, and then you only have 5,691 articles to pick from. Here's the one that I just looked at. When you click on this, there's a citation generator right there. Let me know how it goes. Hopefully this will help.